Welcome to the Jill on Money Show. It's Thursday, November 14th, and I am full of energy because I was away for 5 days. You didn't know that, but I was, and it was fantastic. And now I get to come back and talk to all of you. So if you've got financial questions, then we'd love to hear from you. Just go to the website, jillonmoney.com. In the upper right-hand corner, click that Contact Us button. Write us a note, and if you would like to come on the air, check the box. Mark will do everything else. Hey, you know what you need to really focus on today? Today, until I think it's about 2 o'clock. Is that right, Mark? How long do they have to actually become members of Jill on Money Live so that they can be on the webinar tonight? What's our cutoff time?
I would say the cutoff time is probably like, let's just say 4:45-ish Eastern.
Why are you making it so hard? Can you just say 4 Eastern? Let's say 4 Eastern. Come on now. All right. So here's what's happening. Tonight, we have a live webinar. It will be taking place at 7 o'clock Eastern time. You can only join if you are part of the Jill on Money Live subscription service. $35 will allow you entrance to tonight's webinar, which is year-end financial planning and tax loss harvesting. We're going to really hold your feet to the fire. You better come with some good questions. Bring it tonight. We've got a special guest. His name is Michael Goodman. He's both a CFP and a CPA. And if you want to join Jill on Money Live, $35, tonight's webinar and 3 more and the back catalog. Come on, what's better than that? Check it out. It's all at Jill on Money Live. Cutoff time for tonight's webinar, 4 Eastern time, like the markets close. Okay, today we are talking to one of you. It is Jake, who's on the line from Georgia. Hi, Jake. How are you?
Hi, Jill. Doing okay. Thank you.
Great. What brings you to us? What's going on?
Well, my primary thinking is whether it would be wise for me to do a Roth conversion this year. I keep hearing when I listen to your show regularly that you recommend to many people to start depleting their tax-deferred retirement accounts or the equivalent of a Roth conversion. I always thought that the smart move was to just wait to use that money last. But I'm wondering about the strategy and if it's appropriate for me to take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's cool. Jake, how old are you?
72, will be 73 next month, which is relevant for this conversation.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so 73 next month. And are you married or single?
Single or
Okay.
Divorced.
Okay. And grown kids that are okay and fine and on their own?
No kids.
No kids. Okay, so it's just Jake.
That's
Jake,
right.
how much money do you have in tax-deferred accounts?
About 1.7 million.
Oof. Okay. Are you still working full-time?
No,
Okay.
I'm inching towards retirement.
I like inching. How's it been?
Not quick enough.
I like it. When is actual retirement?
Sometime I'm self-employed. All I'm doing in the process of retiring is selling some houses that I have left from my inventory. So I've got some leftover real estate to get rid of, which I will do in the next 3 to 5 years, which is also relevant to this conversation.
Yeah, very interesting. So are you a realtor or just an investor? Like what have you been doing?
I started buying and selling houses, and I would keep some of them and manage them. And so I built up a house inventory.
Interesting.
And, as my career comes to an end, I'm selling off my remaining inventory.
So in the next this is also important. So if I look at the next 3 to 5 years, you're going to have some tax issues. Is that right? Because when you're selling off, if they're investments, there is going to be some recapture of the depreciation as well as capital gains. Is that what's going to happen?
That is correct. It'll be, yes. And I will have long-term capital gains boosting my income over the next 3 to 5 years.
Interesting. Whew. I mean, it's a good wrinkle, right? It's good to have money. How much money do you have outside of a tax-deferred environment? Do you have either a brokerage account or a big fat savings account?
I have a brokerage account with a couple of brokerage accounts with a total of about $1.5 million, and I have a Roth IRA with about $900,000.
What are you going to do with all this money? What
Well-
are you going to do? Are you just going to live large? Like, how much money do you spend?
Well, as of late, I spend 6,000 or 7,000 a month. I want to spend more because I want to live better than I've been living
Yes.
till now. So that's my goal. I think I do have enough, but I want to sort of maximize it and,
For what?
well, pay as little taxes as I can. You know,
Who cares? You could spend all. You're never going to spend all this money.
What are the remaining properties worth?
Yeah, let's get that number.
they're probably about $1.5 million.
Come on.
What?
You're in such good shape, but you're going to have $1.5 million coming in, of which there's going to be a chunk of tax. So are you saying $1.5 million net of your taxes?
No, that's before the taxes.
So you're going to have to pay $500,000 in taxes, no?
That is correct.
Pretty good guess though, huh? Okay, so $1 million net. Here's the problem with your tax deferred account. Your age. You sound great and healthy, but now the government's going to force you to start taking money out of that retirement account, right?
That is right. I can start this year, but before the end of next month, or I can push 2 of them into next year.
I don't really. What's your taxable income for this year, for 24?
It's probably, I have a house that's going to close next week. If it closes, my taxable income will probably be about 200. Now, 150 of that will be a long-term capital gain from the sale of that house. The rest is rental income and other miscellaneous.
What do you think it'll be next year? Same?
It depends on what house or houses I sell. They all are different values. So that's kind of a big unknown, which makes this tricky.
Yeah, sure does. And I hate for us to get so freaked out about taxes that you don't take the money off the table when it's there for you. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to get so freaked. Like, you pay the taxes, big deal. Like, tax rates right now, I think that what we know is that your tax rates are probably going to stay about the same. But as a single guy, you know, you're looking at a top bracket of 24% on that 200,000, about, right?
Where does the next bracket begin?
32% is at 191,951. Okay, you could say, look, I don't want to get too cute here. I'll pay it 32%. I just don't know. Like, I would tend to say, let's take 2 next year. But if you're going to sell more homes next year, I mean, it's what do we think is more likely, that you'll sell the same 200 grand? You'll come up with like 200 grand, of which 150 is long term. Do you think it's probably going to be that, or do you think it's as likely that it would be twice that?
It just so happens that one of my most valuable houses is on the market now. And if it closes next year, it may have it's just impossible to tell, but it may have a $300,000 or $400,000 gain.
Oh, geez. I mean, that's great. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. It's more likely that it happens next year, right?
Yes.
So I am going to say, let's do this. I think for this year, 2024, you should push into the 32% bracket. And that would mean the top of the 32 is 243,725. So let me think. What is I got to do a quick.
I have to decide whether to take the RMD this year or next year.
Yeah, you're going to do it this year.
Okay.
You're going to do it this year. I just want to see whether you should do your RMD this year, or whether you should be doing more than your RMD. You're going to have to take out 60-ish, okay?
That's right.
Right? And so the question is, should we take out more than 60? And I think the answer is probably, I don't know, you're going to have to just do 60, I think. Otherwise, you pop into 35%. It's almost like, I want you to take out your RMD. Definitely do it for this year. So that's yes. But until you unload these properties, I'm not sure I'd do more than your RMD right now, because then he's really popping up into a high tax bracket. Can we get these darn things sold sooner rather than later?
Sure. I could.
I mean, next year you're going to be in, if you sell this valuable house, you're going to be in the 35% bracket. It's going to be for reals. Okay. But so what?
You're talking about taking out more. Is that the equivalent of doing a Roth conversion?
Pretty much. The thing is, you could do a Roth conversion. Okay. Here's the deal. If you want to convert, you're going to be converting at the 35% bracket. Do you know what I'm saying? Because you take your RMD out, your distribution, your RMD does not count as a conversion. It's like that. You can't use that as the conversion. You have to take the RMD and pay tax on it. So that 60 grand, you're going to pay tax on it, right? Which may or may not, sort of brings you to the top of the 32%.
There's Social Security, I'm assuming?
I've got a little bit.
How much?
$2,100 a month.
All right, not too bad. So what I think is going to happen is if you want to convert, we are talking about converting at a 35% bracket because again, you're already at the top of 32. Because once you get that, so this year you're going to have your 200 plus 60, right, for your RMD. Now, not all of this is income, but still you're going to be in a sizable bracket. Do you work with a tax preparer or not?
Yes.
You can work with this person. I think there's two things to consider. Okay, you ready? Big picture. These are, first of all, you're in like the lucky club. Like you got a bunch of money, you saved money, you can spend as much as you'd like. You're in great shape. Okay. Could you use either a certified financial planner or a CPA to help guide you on how to best manage your tax liability over the next 5 or 10 years? Yeah. Now, I don't know, like if your CPA is like somebody who loves doing this stuff, then you might say, look, I just want your help in helping in like looking at this and thinking that, from 24 through, let's call it for 4 more years, I think I'm going to have this tax regime stays in place. And maybe you guys get together and you sort of start looking at the income generated from the sale of these over the next 3 to 5 years of these homes and layer on top of that the RMDs and whether or not you want to actually convert. I just think you're going to have a lot of income for the next few years. So converting is fine, but you're converting at a high rate. And if you, and again, it's just you and we don't have to worry about leaving a legacy. So, are you charitable in any way?
Somewhat.
Have you ever considered a donor advised fund?
I have considered.
There's 2 things to consider: a donor advised fund or a qualified charitable distribution. You can take up to $100,000 a year out of your IRA, out of that tax deferred account, and send it to a charity every year, or 105 this year, I think. That's another way to kind of push. If you feel charitable, I would definitely do that.
Am I understanding you to say that I'm not sure I got this right, that the Roth conversion has a different tax consequence than just pulling out extra money? And say we talk $100,000 Roth is different from $100,000 distribution from my tax deferred account.
It's the same tax treatment. It's taxable income.
Right.
Okay. So if you have 60, but the government is going to say to you, you have to pull 60 grand out no matter what. That's your RMD.
Right.
That cannot be used as a converted asset.
I understand.
Okay. So anything on top of that we wish to convert is going to be taxable income to you that converts into your Roth. That all I'm saying is once we get beyond the top of this bracket, this 32% bracket, you're at the 35% bracket. You can convert money there, but it's unclear to me whether that's the smartest thing to do or not. You have so much money that it's hard for me to like get psyched about doing one thing or the other.
Well, I was originally coming to you because so many people you recommend that they start depleting their tax deferred accounts. And it occurred to me in preparing for this conversation that I'm going to be depleting my tax deferred account automatically with my RMDs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So that's
the reason why a lot of we talk about that with other people, it's like if you push the clock back, Jake, and it was 10 years ago, right? If you were 60 to 72, we would have said, let's start getting some of this money out because it's going to compound. It's going to end up being $1.7 million. Then you're not going to have any choice over the matter. You're going to be forced to take $60, $70, $80,000 out every year. You're there already.
Yeah, but by the way, if you're just doing RMDs, you're not going to deplete it.
No.
Depends on how long I live.
The annual growth is going to exceed your RMD, probably.
Absolutely. And like, who cares to some extent? So I think that you should maybe talk to your CPA about this. If you'd like, we can certainly give you the name of because I think if you're talking about allocation as well as managing this tax situation with the sale of the homes. It is a more complex situation, and we can get you some names. There's not a problem with that. But I do think that you would be well served by having a strategy that you feel comfortable with. And it doesn't have to be a forever strategy, by the way. It really doesn't. It could be like, hey, guess what? You know what? This is what it is today. And we don't have to worry about years and years in the future. Okay. So get your estate docs done. We'll send you a couple names, and make sure you give a lot of money away. What a fun thing. You're like Brewster's Millions. You're giving away lots of money, and that's one way to reduce your RMDs in the future. How about that? Okay. Now, if you are like Jake from Georgia, and you're already on the precipice of getting your distributions, it is a moment where we might be able to help you out, but gosh, we'd love to hear from you earlier. We'd like to hear from you more in your 50s, 40s, because there's more time. But if you're already in your 70s and it's right here, we can help you out. All you need to do is go to our website, JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, write us a note. And if you'd like to join us on the program live, Mark will do everything else because he's the best executive producer in the whole wide world. Don't forget to sign up for Jill on Money Live before the magic witching hour of 4 Eastern time. We are going to be live at 7 o'clock Eastern time tonight for the Jill on Money Live webinar. I'm so excited for it. Okay. Don't forget you can subscribe to this program on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your favorite podcast. Do something nice for someone else today. Change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.